All right, thank y'all all for coming. I'll call to order the November 5th, 2018 meeting of the Limestone County Commission to order. Pamela, is there any public comment?
No, sir.
All righty, could you please call roll?
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
Commissioner Black.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
All present. Commissioner Black, do you lead us in our pledge?
I will.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, first item, I'll ask for a motion to approve minutes from October 15th and 31st, 2018. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, I'll ask for a motion to approve to pay claims in the amount of $4,125,716.03. Do I hear such motion?
I make the motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Are there any conflicts of interest that's coming before the commission today?
I will point out a couple of things that are not a conflict of interest but could appear to be a conflict of interest. On the agenda, we've got my uncle we're going to approve him allowing to put a private connection to the Limestone County water down Al Roberts Road. He's contributed to my campaign in the past, but that's not, we've done these right-of-ways or these easements in the past and numerous times. It's not a conflict of interest. Also, we're also changing the name from, or on the agenda, changing from Siemens Road to Big Creek Road. That's Tommy Mitchell. He's never contributed to me, and if he does in the future, I will refuse it. So those two things are not conflicts of interest. I just wanted to point that out.
All righty. Resolutions orders. I'll ask for a motion to approve resolution to further amend hazardous duty compensation for correctional officers. Do I hear such motion?
So move.
A motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Our next item, I'll ask for a motion to approve resolutions for severance tax distribution. Do I hear such motion?
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion?
Yes. Okay, we need to talk about this one before we vote on it. And I've got several points I want to make. Since the redistricting in 2011 that happened due to the census, the road mileage per district was changed significantly, and it impacted me the worst. Also impacted District 1. Since that time, District 2 has gotten $3 million more than it would have gotten if the gas tax money had been distributed by road miles. And with that money, it's enabled him to do road projects. It's enabled him to take a chip seal road to a plant mix road. That's something that Stanley and I just have not been able to do, except and for matter of fact, we're doing the opposite. And since 2013, we've used that severance tax money to buy equipment for the engineering crew. We purchased the skid steer with all the milling attachment, the sheep's foot roller, the small double drum roller, the pothole patching trailer, and I think, and I'm not quite sure, that we actually, I think we used some of that for any of y'all remember the tar distributor, the emulsion? Okay, we used some of that for that. And all of that has enabled us to do a better job in repairs. Okay, the milling head attachment has allowed us to do better plant mix repairs that we've been doing this year, both in my district and in all the other districts too. I think you did Snake Road, and Steve's done a bunch. it allows us to do better repairs, and it has allowed us to do projects in-house that we would, where we can't, where at a lower cost than if we went back out and to do, go out with a contractor. In addition, we need additional equipment too. We need an emulsion tank, okay, which we should buy right now and get it on order for next year. We ought to buy a brush attachment for the tar distributor where we can do scrub seals, similar to what they did out on Highway 99 before they put the microsurfacing on. We need that. We need that money to do those projects, to lower our cost and do those projects in-house. And we also need to get all that equipment under roof, like we've been talking about with we're going over to the LNS and building a building to get all that together with the paving crew and get all that under roof and protected. And I will definitely not, and we need to find out a way to do that without incurring any debt, because I will not approve a project if it incurs debt. And I would point out that both Stanley and I have roads that have heavy truck traffic. I think, Stanley, you were telling me, you can comment if you want to, about the traffic counts on a road that you were telling me the other day that had huge amount of truck traffic. I have all the chicken, well, not all of them, but I have several chicken houses in my district, and those take those heavy feed trucks, and the roads that they go over are not designed for those kind of loads. All the damage that was done most of the damage was done on Persimetry Road and Bailey Road. That road was heavily damaged by supplying I didn't realize Avagen was supplying all of northern Mississippi and all of western Tennessee through that road, and it damaged it. It would cost probably around $800,000 to $1 million to do those repairs, which I don't have that money. I also have New Cut Road and Easter Ferry Road that I have to do. Those combined would be another $1.5 million, and that's just starting out. So if we do those roads like you're able to do in District 2, it would cost that much. We're looking at lower cost options, but we don't have that luxury of that additional money. And if we do this, this will allow you and Jason to put off doing these pavement preservation techniques, the scrub seals, the fog seals, the triple seals, and it'll allow you to continue to plant mix some chip seal roads, which there's in this environment, in this revenue-starved environment, given the cost structure that we have, no one should be doing. We should be figuring out how to do these things at a lower cost with these pavement preservation techniques. Eventually, though, you will hit, it may be your successor or whatever that'll have to deal with it, but all of us will hit that brick road or brick wall at one point or another. So, you're asking for all the severance tax, not only from that generated from the Toyota Mazda project, but from normal demand, both from the West Huntsville Quarry and the Tanner Quarry. And if you do this thing, if you do this deed, you will inflict additional damage on Districts 1 and 4. What we ought to be doing is trying to iron out an agreement and work together on it to treat all the citizens of Limestone County fairly and equitably. So I request that you do not do this thing at this time, and you really ought to wait. If you're going to discuss it, you really ought to wait till Darrell gets in here and whoever wins your election. So that's it. Stanley, I don't know if y'all...
Okay, yeah, I have a comment. Anytime I-65 is shut down, one lane, all that traffic is diverted to county roads in District 1. And those roads are, I have a few roads that's been, believe it or not, if they shut it down for an hour or hour and a half, it's a bunch of traffic, heavy traffic. I have log trucks. I have other, and I'm not saying that we should shut down the roads for people that's trying to make a living, because everybody's got to make a living. But I'm in a heavy farming area, logging area, and also chicken houses. And some of those roads in District 1 are not made for that heavy loads. So I just, I'm also not in favor of it for that reason. Thank you.
I can relate to both of y'all's with the log trucks and the chicken houses, and your question about the land. The money being split up the way it's supposed to be split up, between population. Well, that'd be great, but our districts are set up based on population, not on road mileage. That's how the taxes. That's how the tax appropriate. We us sitting in here just thinking, hey, we're going to change all that. We can't change the districts to be based on road miles. It's got to be on population.
Correct. And
that's how we get our money, because if you look at it, if only one person opens that door right there today, that's just one person. If 1,000 people open that door, it's going to put a whole lot more pressure and a whole more stress on that door. That's what we have in our district. Now, I've got the chicken houses, like I said before, and all that, but we're fixing to have 7 million tons go to an area that doesn't affect you or Stanley. It doesn't affect y'all. Those 7 million tons don't affect y'all's roads that you're responsible for. They do ours, because they're going to Mazda Toyota, which is not anywhere close to your district.
that's right. That's one project.
Yeah, well, but that's 7 million tons. That's what we're talking about. That's going. If we had 7 million tons of anything travel through District 4 in the last 4 years.
But that's not the whole output of both Tanner and West Huntsville.
But we do know that that's where the majority of it's going to go. It's just like the concrete pipe. They're telling us we better start ordering it now if we want it for the next year, because there's not going to be any for us to put in driveway tile, because it's all going to be going to these plants. So I understand that too. But I agree with saving money and doing roads and finding a way to chip seal and buying an emulsion tank and all that. I agree with all of that. Everything that you said is dead on. Brush attachments, all of that stuff is very important. We need to do it.
But where are we going to find the money for?
I don't know, but where are we going to find the money to replace roads that are going to be absolutely destroyed? It's going to look like someone's gone down through there with a chisel plow and tore the roads up. That's how much weight's going to be on those roads. That's how much it's going to be on those roads.
Now.
I know, and I've got that now too, with the chicken houses and the log trucks and the farmers and concrete trucks that may go somewhere they're not supposed to go. But I'm telling you, we can't look at now. We've got to look at what's fixing to be happening in the next 6 months to a year, and those roads are going to be destroyed. You want to talk about a road that's got traffic on it? Shut down Huntsville Browns Ferry because the road tears apart. Shut down any of those roads over there in that area. I've got Snake Road and I got Shaw Road that goes to Browns Ferry Nuclear Power Plant. But those 7 million tons are not going to be on Snake Road or Shaw Road. They're going to be over there. We don't even know what road it's going to be yet. So that's why we're proactive, and that's why we're planning for the future that's fixing to be really, really bad, I'm saying, as far as infrastructure and roads go.
Well, the funding situation has been happening ever since 2004, okay? And like I say, since 2011, he's had that additional luxury. Okay? And we ought to have been done.
Have you saved that and put it like in a box somewhere that I'm thinking of, or have you actually spent that money?
Well, let me, I'm the only one who hadn't spoke, so
Okay.
if y'all will let me, I got a few things to say. You talked about this gas tax, how it's distributed for, since 2012. That's how long we've been here. We've been talking about this. But I would argue that since 2012, every year District 2 has paid their portion of the engineering budget. The last time I had engineering pull up any records about how much time they actually spent in District 2 was about a year and a half ago. Over a 9-month period, they was in District 2 17 days. So if you add that, divide 9 into 17, that's about 2 days a month. So if you give it 3 more months, that's 23 days a year, not even 1 month per year, that I paid about $340,000 for. I'd also argue that they probably spent 6 months of that time in your district or Stanley's. So for you to say I've got money that I shouldn't have gotten, I've also paid that money back to those guys that have been working in your district all this time. Not for 1 year, but for 6. Because when the engineering crew comes to my district, we have, in weeks prior, prepped whatever it is they're coming to do. They're usually there, Mark, you can verify, 4 or 5 days max at a time in my district. Most times 1 to 2, because I've got the work ready, sitting there waiting. All they got to come in and do is put the asphalt down and leave. But back to the severance tax. When the Cross Key Quarry was open, District 4 got every bit of that severance tax money. I'm not asking for something that's never been done. And I'm actually being generous about it because the majority of it is going to come out of the West Huntsville Quarry. But I know Jason's got the quarry. Some of it's going to come out of there. And I agree with everything Jason said. I don't disagree that y'all don't have heavy truck traffic. But these heavy trucks are going to be traveling in about a 5-mile area surrounding that Toyota Mazda site. Not only the Toyota Mazda site, but Bocar and all that other stuff that's going on down there. You know, I didn't ask for this to keep it forever. That's why I put 2025 on there. So, you know, we know the dead end date on it. But y'all brought these issues up, so I'm going to talk about them. Stanley talked about when Interstate 65 was closed for an hour. He had a lot of traffic. You talked about traffic counts. There's not a road in either one of y'all's districts outside of Interstate 65 or maybe even Highway 99 that gets remotely close to the traffic counts that we have on Huntsville Browns Ferry, Mooresville, East Limestone. And I'm not talking about working on all these other nodes, but we're going to talk about traffic counts. We're going to talk about traffic counts. You know, Nick Davis is near 7,000 a day. East Limestone Road, 6,000 a day. Huntsville Browns Ferry, because the bridge is out in Jason's district, is probably pushing 6,000 a day. So if we're going to talk about traffic counts, let's get it right. Then we want to talk about chicken trucks and log trucks. Now we're talking about 200 loads per day coming out of the West Huntsville Quarry going to the Toyota Mazda site, or Mazda Toyota site. I mean, that's 200 loads going there. We're not talking about the loads that's going to the subdivisions that are being built, mainly in my district, somewhat in Jason's district. You're going to talk about how much it costs to do and what you could do with $1 million. I tell you what you can do in East Limestone for $1 million. You can put turn lanes on 1,700 feet. That's what $1 million will get you. And I'm not talking about working on East Limestone Road. Don't get me wrong. And I am working. I've talked with Rogers Group about trying to get a preferred route. So they're going to tell us this is the roads we plan to use. Now, are we going to be able to hold them to you staying on this road? Well, I don't know that, but we can definitely try. You talked about District 2 trying to use some of the cost-saving measures. I tried the triple shot chip seal just last summer. Put it on Nick Davis Road as an experiment. Mark Massey can tell you today that was the worst mistake I've ever made. The road is completely black where the chip seal just left because of the traffic.
So I will let, yeah, right.
So
is that the worst mistake ever made?
It is, in my opinion. If you go over there, that road's black. You can't see the brand new striping that got put down on it.
Well, that can be addressed.
Well, it's still a traffic
and that
issue.
was probably not that you have low volume roads that you can use those techniques on.
I do. And those low volume roads, I'm not doing anything to other than patching.
But I can tell you this, on the roads that I've got, if I spent as much time and experiments in saving money as has been done on Weedy Mill Road, I mean, for months we've been talking about Weedy Mill Road.
And
this
why
and
is
that.
it, Jason?
I have no idea because we haven't gone out there and done what we probably should have done, just pave it. That's it. We don't have time for experiments. I don't know how much money you spend on the experiment now, but I'm just saying I'm not experimenting. I'm fixing.
A third.
Well, that's good.
And we can do it for a sixth.
Well, that's great. That's
we
fantastic.
ought to be experimenting.
Well, you get those figures and bring them in and show them to us, and heck,
Sure.
we'll sit down and we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
You've been here 6 years, and you just keep talking about these experiments and doing this and doing that. Well, I'm tired of the experiments because they're not working.
Yes, they are.
Weedy Mill Road.
That was a base issue. That wasn't the surface issue.
Yeah.
Parker Road was done with the same surface.
Weedy Mill Road was probably tore up worse because of the rock quarry over there, too. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've spent all
And
your
that- and
time
that
on
money-
one road
and
that's
that, the
torn
rock
up.
quarry, that Easter Ferry rock quarry did what? It did a portion of 1.5 mile of Easter Ferry and part of Cross Key Road, and it took what, 10 years to pay that. Rogers Group, what happened there? Rogers Group paid for it, it was a loan that we paid back with the severance tax, and it took 10 years to do that because the revenues coming out of Easter Ferry Quarry was minuscule compared to what's going to come out of the West Huntsville.
Which means there's going to be more trucks.
Right.
And it tore Whitty Mill Road up with a small number of trucks, but more trucks is not going to destroy what we got.
Yeah, it'll destroy the roads, okay? The traffic, I mean, but the Gray Road, what you're doing, what needs to be done is full depth reclamation. You won't even consider that. I mean, the first thing when the engineer and when I went
There's only
down,
a short portion of it that's even Limestone County's responsible for. The other, it's
Other
the
half
city of
is
Huntsville.
Huntsville.
We're meeting with them
That's
today
right.
at 1 o'clock about that.
that's right.
We got a meeting today at 1 o'clock
1
with the
o'clock.
city of Huntsville engineers over that.
We have given over roads that were county roads, the maintenance to the city of Madison and the city of Huntsville that are still county roads. And you've had that luxury. We've given them, and they've accepted responsibility for repaving. And they actually repaved it and then took over the future responsibility. I don't have that luxury.
Well, I mean, I understand you don't have that luxury, but at the same time, we're still packing more and more cars into the roads that I have responsibility for. And just so everybody knows, let me make this clear. Huntsville has not shirked their responsibility to the roads that are in my district. As far as I know, they've not shirked them in Jason's
Or Madison,
district.
neither one.
Or Madison. I do have a meeting scheduled today with the Huntsville Public Works Director. I'll be there. Jason's going to be there. Mark Massey's going to be there. My foreman and the guy that's over the area of Limestone County where Huntsville city limits is. Not to mention the fact that we did go out there 2.5 weeks ago and worked on adding shoulders on Newby and Gray, which I'm understanding that you didn't think was necessary. But Rogers
That's not
Group,
correct.
But Rogers Group paid for all that stone. So, I mean, it didn't cost us any money because those guys were working. They were going to be working somewhere 8 hours that day anyway. So, I don't know, Ben. I understand you need more money for your district. I'm not arguing that. We all need more money. But this right here is about to destroy a portion of mine and a portion of Jason's. I'm just trying to look out for our districts. And if you don't agree with that, then there's no me changing your mind. So.
Okay. And I know the votes are probably already set, but I will make
Whoa,
this
whoa,
comment.
whoa. What do you mean the votes are already set? I would
Well,
not
you-
say that under any circumstance
Well-
that the votes are already set because we're not supposed to say that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't even
Are
mention that.
you for it? Are you for it?
I voted it. I made the motion or the second so we could discuss it, which I have made the motion or second to discuss something that I later voted against. So that's why we have this open forum where we can discuss it during this time. You could have
But-
changed my mind and I vote against it.
Well,
but I mean, I wouldn't
let's
say
see-
the votes are set.
Let's say, Jason, you told me that you don't bring up stuff unless you know that you've got the votes for it.
I
That
have
you don't-
never said
You
that.
said that. You told me in private. You said, "Well, I'm not going to stick my neck out. I'm not. If it's not going to go, I'm not going to be for it. I don't vote for anything or proposal unless I know that it'll pass."
And
You said that.
we're going off on a different discussion
what-
now.
what
We're
is
talking about
related?
severance tax.
It's related
All right,
to the
let me
severance
talk
tax
about Whitty Mill.
distribution?
Let me talk about Whitty Mill a little bit. I asked you, I requested that you allow me the prime week for chip sealing. We were going to repair that with a chip seal repair. That was the hope. I deferred to Stanley this year to where he could get his paving projects done. Most of the time was spent in Stanley's district, okay? This was his year. I was not up for election. I deferred to Stanley.
What's re-election got to do with it?
Well, typically what happens in the past, most of the commissioners would defer to those that are, if they've got projects that are in this docket that are ready to be repaired, they defer to them to get their road projects done. Okay, that's what has happened.
That's not supposed to happen. We're supposed to
Well, I
be
know.
taking
What-
care
a lot
of the
things
people
are
the way it's supposed to be done.
A lot of things.
You've brought up two things today that are not supposed to be doing that I
That's
don't
correct,
understand.
and you deny that it. But that didn't happen in my reelection year. Okay, y'all pulled off to do every school parking lot in the county almost, and y'all tried. I requested that you just give me the prime chip sealing week. It was the hottest week of the year, which is prime chip sealing. I sent you a
It was
message.
for us too. Then, if that was the prime week, why are
But
you
y'all-
the just
were
because you're
doing
the
plant
squeaky
mix-
wheel? You want
You
it?
were doing plant mix repairs on Snake Road. Okay, you were doing shoulder work. Kent, of all things, shoulder work, which my crew does shoulder work. We don't even need the engineering crew. And you pulled them off during those 2 weeks to do shoulder work.
I did. Let me tell you why.
Okay,
Because I'm facing all these cars coming down the road. I don't have the amount
your
of
crew
guys.
not do that?
We can. But I would invite you to bring your crew and set up on one of my roads and control the traffic. I invite you to come do that. But let's get back to this. When the week you're talking about, I made a request to the engineering department in probably April or May to come and do that portion of Mooresville Road that we resurfaced. At the same time, I said, while y'all are out here, I want y'all to help us with shoulder work. All right? And I told Mark, I said, all I want is to get done before the budget year ends. Well, that didn't happen. It didn't get done before the budget year ended. But if we're going to talk about what the engineering guys are doing in people's districts and are not doing, they're not patching potholes in my district. My guys patch the potholes. They're not cutting tree limbs in my district. We cut the tree limbs. They're not clipping shoulders. We're clipping shoulders. All I had to have them to do was run their machinery, the shoulder machine. It's their machine. We don't have a shoulder machine in District 2. I don't know what you have.
Well, why did it take the whole paving crew?
Well, that's who they sent. Now, I didn't tell them how many to send. I just told them what I needed.
So, and we're going to address this issue when the new commission sets of how we address projects, because I'm not going to have another Whitty Mill. Okay?
Well, I would.
That was without aid. I mean, you've laughed every time we've come in here about Whitty Mill. Okay, Jason? And I know you're just reveling in that. But we're going to fix Whitty Mill.
I'm not reveling in that. I'm just tired of people asking about that road to me instead of asking about my roads.
I've been trying to get Whitty Mill done for a whole year.
Well, on the
And they get
on your reclaimer and stuff that you use, do you let any of your employees use that reclaimer, or do you just let the engineering group use a piece of machinery that you bought for your district?
Up to this point, just one person is trained on that, and I'm not going to have it torn up. He is that one person who's the most experienced and most technically oriented, runs that piece of equipment. When he comes into our district, I'm going to have him train 2 people. That has not been done yet.
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I think we've discussed this enough.
Well, if y'all have, no one has anything, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Nay.
Commissioner Harrison.
Nay.
I had a feeling that's where this was gonna come. Oh, man, everybody makes great arguments. Here's a simple version. The severance tax paid by the quarries. It was enacted for the money, that money to be used toward what roads those quarries adversely affect the most. Those quarries lie in District 3 and District 2, where District 1 may get 15% of the traffic, or District 4 may get 15% of the traffic. There's no arguing that District 3 and District 2 will receive 100% of the traffic, because that's where it originates. Now, I feel for the people down there on Gray Road and Newby Road who are got incited by a fired chicken salesman that feel like that the county commission had something to do with that quarry being placed there. And this county commission, whenever it was permitted in 2011 or 12, what it is, that commission couldn't do nothing about it. This commission can't do anything about it. But I think if you deny this money to be able to make that a safe road for those people right there that's going to have to live with that quarry I think you'd be kicking somebody when you're down. Now, that's what I think. And being you're right, there'll be future commissions. Y'all can return it, turn it over, which whoever's here next time. But for today, and for that reason, I vote aye.
Okay.
Motion prepares 3-2. Next item on the agenda. I'd ask for a motion to approve resolutions for intersection improvements on East Limestone Road at Capshaw Road, project number LCP 42-170-18. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously under contracts, agreements, and grants. I'll ask for a motion to approve proposal for Morrell Engineering Incorporated to provide geotechnical engineering services for East Limestone Road and Capshaw Road intersection modifications, ALDOT project number HSIP-4216250. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item. I'll ask for a motion to approve agreement with Morrell Engineering Incorporated to provide professional and technical engineering services for the ADECA Recreational Trails Grant 17-RT-54-09 of the Richard Martin Trails Upgrade Project. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, approve Cannon Financial Services Incorporated lease agreement for one Conecuh Minota Biz Hud C308 for 3 annual payments of $1,688.01 each, and the Laosi Group service agreement overage billed monthly at 0.008 per black and white copy and 0.051 per colored copy. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, I'll ask for a motion to approve amendment to the Bocar project agreement. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion?
This is extending the deadline
Payment
dates. Deadline dates. It's not extending the abatements.
Yep. There's no further discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I'll ask for a motion for a budget revision for Council on Aging. We're at $12,189 other salaries, $1,287 Social Security from the beginning fund balance. Transfer $13,476. Do I hear such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion?
Yes. What is this for, Pam?
This
We had
is,
figured 20 hours for the bus driver and it's just taking 30.
Okay,
That's just
and it should have been 30.
because there's some,
Okay.
There's no further discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There's no emergency purchases, no board appointments. We'll move to awarding a bid. I'm going to take both of these in one motion without objection. I'll ask for a motion to award the tire recycling project for Liberty Tire Recycling in the amount of $2,180 and the facility maintenance online ticketing system for the maintenance department to Upkeep Maintenance Management CMMS in the amount of $5,292. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second one?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion?
Yeah, that 2180 that's just per load. What was the total amount that the
Grant
grant was for? Do you, anybody remember?
I want to say $150,000.
That's what I
That's
thought.
just
That's
something
what I
just
heard.
off the top
That's
of
what
my
I heard.
head that I think it
About
is.
That's what
75
Sonia
loads.
told me.
Or
That may have
70,
changed.
75.
And 75 loads should last us a very, very long time if we follow the rules that we've all decided to follow as far as not letting businesses
Just
come
only
out. Just
individuals.
only individuals
And farmers.
and farmers coming out to do that. Yeah, we can't have a trailer load brought to put on our trailer.
No.
You know, we can have a pickup truck and have 5 or 6 brought from individual or a farmer, but we can't spend all our money up that quick. Thank you.
There's no further discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Martin, you're up.
No, you missed
No.
one.
Got
Oh, I'm
personally.
sorry. Personnel actions. I'll ask for a motion to approve family medical leave for Eddie Gilbert beginning September 26, 2018 till October 15, 2018, retroactive. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hill. I have a second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Now, Mark, I'm sorry. I got so excited to be able to turn it over to you.
All right, we have 2 subdivisions for your consideration today. K and B subdivision, it's a minor subdivision. It's preliminary and final. District 4, 2 lots. It's north side of Highway 72, just west of Blackburn Road. Miller Lane subdivision, it's a minor, preliminary and final, 3 lots in District 1. It's a half-mile west of Alabama Highway 251, and we recommend these to you.
Thanks, sir. I'll ask for a motion to approve the following subdivision as just explained and recommended by our engineer. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mark, you have anything else, or?
No, thank you.
Thank you. All right, other business. I'll ask for a motion to remove the following equipment from inventory from District 3, a Pioneer covered wagon, and from EMA, a Optima DLP projector. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, I'll ask for a motion to transfer from emergency management from Athens High School and Julian Newman School to the Athens Board of Education Security Access Systems. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I'll ask for a motion to sell the following on Gov Deals. From EMA, a Onan LP gas generator 30 kilowatt and a Kohler LP gas generator 60 kilowatt. Do I hear such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There are no scheduled public hearings. At this time, we'll move to report of our officers. Commissioner Hill.
Yes, as I stated Wednesday, it's been my pleasure to work with everybody, all everdepartments in the county, and media, and just everybody. It hasn't always been a fun time ever meeting or outing, but I do want to thank the county departments for their support. They've been good to me, and I've enjoyed working with them. I just say this: if somebody tells you I said something and you don't like it, you need to call me, because I'll either apologize or call somebody a liar. And this is what happens sometimes in politics. So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and if I've said something that has offended anybody, just let me know, because I'll clarify it. let's be weather alert. I understand that the weather's supposedly might get bad. Let's just be safe and listen to your communications on weather. Call 911 if you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Turner.
Hey, I hate to do this, but I want to ask for suspension of the rules if I can. I'd like to add some striping work.
Get up. I'll ask. Mr. Turner, I have had a motion to suspend the rules of order. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Mr. Black. Any discussion? He gave out a split second. No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Floor is yours.
Now I'd like to make a motion that we be allowed to stripe Dupree-Worthy Road at a cost of approximately $3,300. It's 1.77 miles. It'd be center line and edge striping.
Well,
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner, a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I do. Like Stanley said, y'all be weather aware. You know, everybody's watched it, so it knows what it's supposedly going to be doing. And I'd like to take a minute to thank Stanley and Mark for their service to the county over the last 4 years. I know, Stanley, you got a lot more years of service than just 4, so thank you for that. I know how hard it is when you put your name on the ballot. You take a beating a lot of days for stuff you couldn't control if you had it in your hand. And I'd just like to say thanks to Mark, too, for the same reasons. Appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Commissioner Black?
Thank you.
Everybody said pretty much what I'm going to say, but I'm going to tell you this about Stanley Hill. If he told me something, I never had to second guess anything he said. Not one time in 4 years. Anytime you see a older man run for political office, they want to know if he's too old to do the job. And old country boy that's an older fella too, sometimes they get a bad rap. But I'm going to tell you what, that's a genuine good person sitting in there at that end. He's really taught me a lot about how to deal with people, even though those people are negative. And I really appreciate that. Been a friend to my dad for a long time, and I'm glad to call him my friend now. Mark, fantastic job. Thank you for all you've done. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to do and say the wrong things, but you always had the best interest of Limestone County at heart when it came to doing this chairman's job. A lot of times we got stuff done that we wouldn't have gotten done, I really believe, if you hadn't had the ear of some other people. So I appreciate everything that you did and all that you've done for Limestone County, and I bid both of you farewell, only from the commission, but not from the friendship. So y'all just know you can call me anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Harrison?
Yeah, I want to address these two on the agenda. The agreement to allow my uncle to put a private line on Al Roberts Road on the right-of-way. It's a 30-foot right-of-way, and he'll stay within the right-of-way. There's some areas that we still have to work out with Mark on the routing of it, but we'll stay within the right-of-way.
So I'll ask for a motion. Since you said ask for
I'll
a
make the
motion.
motion.
You got the motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Second, but Mr. Black, any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I'll ask for a motion. No, I'm sorry, you are.
You go ahead. I'll make the motion to change the name of
from
Seaman Road to Big Creek Road.
So you made the motion from
Yes.
Ben. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Turner. Any discussion?
I was going to let Stanley do the last second.
Oh, no, well, I'll take it back in.
No, I don't take it back.
No discussion.
There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill? Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Ben, you have anything else?
We're continuing to work on Whitty Mill, the last main stretch. There's still some areas that will need to be addressed in terms of base failure. And I will elaborate a little bit on Whitty Mill. What happened is when we went in to address the base failures on that road. There were numerous base failures. And so I went with the recommendation of the engineer to correct those base failures. A lot of times what happens with those triple steel surface treatments, I mean, you don't get any strength out of it. Your strength comes from your base. And what happened, it was inadequate prep of the base on that road. We did similar things out on Parker Road, and they didn't fail. There's several that hit us at the same time in the last of September, where we had a cold snap when we did that. The base did not adequately dry out. We had Charlie Watts scheduled here right at the end of chip sealing season. That's why it's so critical to use the time where you've got the weather for chip sealing to do those type projects. It was just a conflagration of things that happened on that road that we didn't have time to address. So anyway, that's Whitty Mill. But we are going back and fixing those. We're having to use, since we're past the chip sealing season, we're having to use plant mix, which those repairs will be 4 to 5 times what it would take if we could have done it with chip seal and the Portland cement. So, but that's just the way that things are. I want to get the road finished. So anyway, we're finishing up on Whitty Mill, and I will want to note the passing of Don Osborne. He passed away, I think, yesterday. We were out of town when he did it. He was a very godly man. He served as principal of Athens Bible School, Owens Elementary. He was a superintendent of education. In his later years, he was on the mental health board. That was one of his passions in his later years. He will be sorely missed.
Thank you, sir.
And I do want to say to both of you, I appreciate Stanley and Mark and anyone that puts themselves out there to run for public office. You're going to invite yourself for a lot of stuff that you're going to have to put up with, and we all know that here. And I appreciate Stanley. We work together on projects and shared equipment, and I do appreciate him. And he's a hard worker. And I wish you well in your retirement.
Thank
you. And I will say some things. Things get heated up here, and people squirm and feel uneasy. But we're a deliberative body. We need to. These things impact the residents, our citizens, all of Limestone County. We should thoroughly discuss things. I mean, before we enact them. We're not supposed to come in here and rubber stamp stuff. We ought to consider these things either in the work session or in the regular meeting. We have different perspectives, different ideas, but we ought to use this time before the public to discuss these things and try to work out issues that will impact the citizens of our county and work together. Even though it's messy at times, but that's okay.
So you're saying in Philadelphia in the 1700s, they probably all wouldn't agree on everything.
If you read,
I know it,
what they call, I mean, some of those back and forths were pretty ugly.
Yeah, and it was hot in there.
Yeah. They didn't have air conditioning.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. But anyway, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I want to echo, since this is my last meeting, I want to echo what Commissioner Turner. I've known Steve a long time. I've known his brother 40 years. I've known Jason forever. I'd known Ben before, met him, talked. I'd never met Stanley Hill until on Thatch Road at that little store at Thatch in Mooresville, where we was both putting up signs in the spring of 2014. And I don't know that we talked again until we took office. But Commissioner Hill is one of the most high integrity, honest, finest men that I've ever got to meet. I really did. I got to meet some of the best people in the world. Chief Sloss, Chief, we didn't know each other, did we? I mean, I did. I knew Brandon. I knew Paige. I'd met so many people. I've known Taz forever. Mark Magan, knew Mark, and Pam and I grew up together. I guess to put it in, to encapsulate it the best, I had a real good friend of mine and a big supporter of mine said, the best thing about Mark Yarborough, he was a businessman. He wasn't a politician. But when it came time to getting reelected, the worst thing about Mark, he was a businessman and not a politician. It was my goal when I come in the first time to fulfill every promise I made. I feel like if you're going to put your name on a sign and put it out there and you make a promise to the people, you need to deliver. And we promised more high-paying jobs, no new taxes, and we delivered. We delivered over two, and I say we, it was this commission and collaborative effort, we delivered over $2 billion worth of investment. That we got out and encouraged people like Toyota Mazda, Shape Corporation, Bocar, GE Aviation, Polaris to invest in the people of Limestone County. We brought over 7,000 jobs. We live streamed the commission meeting just like we are right now, even though we were advised from some corners not to do it. But we live streamed them in their archives so you don't have to wonder what was said, how it was said, or the context it was said. It's about as transparent, I guess, you can get. One thing that so many people don't know, you don't have to wait till we vote on this. If you walk in the commission meeting and look to the right, there's a journal that shows you every check ever written for the commission. It's as transparent as it gets. We finished the courthouse. They worked on it for 20 years. It was a joke forever in Limestone County when nobody's laughing anymore. It's a sense of pride, and it's a functioning building that'll last for generations to come. One thing I've had several phone calls on, when this commission sat down and when it was sworn in November 2014, and these are numbers compiled by Emily Ezel, our CFO. If they're wrong, she's wrong. They just audited figures. The state said they were right. This commission faced $21,100,000 worth of debt. As of November 1st, 2018, the debt of the Limestone County Commission is $15,265,000. This commission reduced the debt of Limestone County Commission by $5,835,000 over a 4-year period. Did all those other accomplishments, finished the jail expansion, courthouse and everything, and we did not incur 1 red cent in additional debt for Limestone County Commission. Not 1 red cent. And those are the facts from a businessman, not the talkings of a politician. And with that, I want to thank all of y'all. It was a truly honor and privilege to serve as your chairman. And I will recess the Limestone County Commission for the last time that I will do it until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, November 14th, 2018 at the Washington Street Courthouse Annex, 310 West Washington Street, Athens, Alabama. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you.
Go vote tomorrow.
That's one of the longest meetings we've had.